Welcome to Celebrate Pinetop-Lakeside, the podcast for those looking for what to do in the town of Pinetop-Lakeside. From activities to events, our businesses and parks, here is where you can get the information and connect to the resources that will allow you to celebrate the seasons in Pinetop-Lakeside. Hey, it's Rob Hefner. We're here hanging out in Pinetop-Lakeside at Town Hall and hope everybody's having a great summer out there. It's definitely been a warm one, and we're literally at the recording of this still awaiting the monsoon to show up. I've got with me, of course, the AZ hiking mom, Carrie. How are you?
Hello, I'm doing well. Enjoying the warmth, actually. So
yes.
I just keep remembering all the snow. Everyone was like, oh my gosh, when is it going to be summer? So
we went from a year of, it rained and rained and rained and rained and then snowed and snowed and snowed and snowed. So a lot of us are like, we are in stage 1 fire restrictions, so you got to be careful out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. It's like, I don't like it hot, but I'm okay with a little warm.
Yeah.
And we've actually had a night here in the last week where you could leave the windows open.
Yeah, or enjoy the evening sitting outside, eating your dinner, and it's not too cold. So yeah, I enjoy it. It's definitely different than the muggy hot summers in Kansas where I'm from. So I just love it. I love all the seasons up here.
Very cool. We're going to start with going back. We're going to talk about Ice Cave real quick because you said some people had some problems. So good.
Yeah. So I got some messages on Instagram, my AZ Hiking Mom page, and someone told me that they could not find the ice cave. And then my husband reminded me that when we first hiked that trail, we couldn't find it either. We got turned around on the trail. So I think nowadays it is more well marked, but I encourage everyone to use the All Trails app, and that not every track's trail up here is in the All Trails app system, but the ice cave is. And that's what I followed to make it to the ice cave, and it took me right there. So
I'll give you a link on that down below, and it's easy to find. Yeah, I think it's on iPhone and on Android as well. I'm not sure. I have iPhone.
I'm not sure either. Me too.
But we'll give you a link to it. Okay, this week, what are we talking about?
This week, we are talking about the Woodland Outer Trail.
You said outer trail, and it's not the one that goes around. There's a nice paved one that goes around the lake.
Right.
And since the town acquired the actual property, and it's now a town park, that got paved and it's really cool. But there's like how many different trails?
There's 6 other trails that you can get to from Woodland Lake Park, or even starting at Big Springs. So it's really cool. So the outer trail, that's why I got a little tripped up on my words, because it leads you through the 6 different trails. Okay. And I just so much enjoyed it when I did the trail. I'm going to go back and take my kids.
Okay, take us through this. How do we get there?
Okay, so the way I went, you can actually start at different entry points. I started at Big Springs Environmental Study area. You can park there. There's plenty of parking. You can also park by the baseball fields or even down by the docks and start there. So it's a big loop. So the way that I went was I started at Big Springs and I walked up, and you have a choice to either go right or left, and I went left. On the actual map that you can get online through the track's website, or even there's really good signage to where it'll show you like the trail markers, and I just made sure that I followed like the W, it starts with, actually I'm not sure which one it starts with, but you'll see that they're marked, and I just made sure I followed each diamond to lead me on that outer loop that I wanted to, and that kept me on track. But stay to the left, and then soon you'll approach a sign that says the Turkey Track footpath, and so no bikes, you're not supposed to ride your bike down there, only the footpath. Yeah, I took that, and it takes you down. It's a little rocky, but it's not too bad. It takes you down by Walnut Creek. It's a very peaceful, beautiful, small, short segment of the trail where it's the footpath only, and you're all along the creek. Watch out for snakes. There was one time where I stepped down. There were 4 different snakes that scurried off into the water, so just be mindful. I mean, they weren't like dangerous or anything, but that might startle you. And then just enjoy the beautiful scenery of the Walnut Creek. You'll see all kinds of different wildlife with the ducks, even the different kinds of birds, and lizards and snakes, obviously, and all the wildflowers right now. They're just so beautiful. So you take that, and that's about 0.7 miles, and then you just take that path back up, and then you continue onto Meadowview path, and that will actually lead you to that part of the trail will lead you to Woodland Lake. So on your way, make sure you stop at the waterfall. below the bridge. And you'll go on a short part of the paved Woodland Lake path, and then you'll take a right onto Hitching Post Loop Trail. And these trails on these different, with the different names, they are very wide. They're gravel. They're easy to walk. There's not those huge rocks that you're stepping on. They're not narrow, and it's cleared, so you don't have like all this trees and bushes and brush brushing by you. So it's very relaxing and peaceful and wide trails. So Hitching Post Loop Trail, it takes you you're headed back the direction towards Big Springs.
Right.
And you'll just enjoy, you're kind of walking in a forest. You don't even hear the city or the street noise or anything.
Right.
It's beautiful. Yeah.
Road traffic, all that kind of beep, beep, honk, honk, rant. Yeah.
Yeah. Even though it's like right in the middle of Pinetop.
Right.
Pinetop-Lakeside. So it's great. And then you'll take that and it leads you straight back to Big Springs. And so you can choose to go right or left at that point. Most of the time, there's not those different, directions you could take.
Right.
But then you pass by Big Springs, which is a really beautiful area where they have, that spring stays warm all year round. So I think this would be a good path even like to do year round. And then there's like a beaver habitat, and you'll see like where the beavers have been chewing the trees and stuff. So that's kind of fun to see. And then that takes you all the way back to the parking lot. So it only ends up being, I tracked it, was 3.97 miles.
Oh, okay.
And it took about an hour and 45 minutes.
Very cool. Now, Big Springs, how do we get there from the roadway? What?
Oh, great question. So it's right behind the movie theater and like the stoplight where you can go to the town library. There's kind of Blue Ridge High School and right there. And then there's the movie theater. So you'll go down. I'm blanking on the name of that street.
It's the Mountain Meadow Boulevard, isn't it?
That's it. Yeah. Yeah. So you'll turn there and go behind the movie theater, and Big Springs is by the Nature Center. Yeah.
It's up from the Nature Center on the left. Is that correct? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Very cool.
Yes. And I've read that you can see sometimes like deer and different, birds and ducks and geese at the Big Springs as well, which is what I really enjoy.
And there's parking for about 10, maybe 12 vehicles there, I think.
Yeah. So if you go there and it's full, it's not that far to just drive to Woodland Lake. And like I said, you could park on two different sides and do that same loop. You're just entering on a different part of the trail.
Yeah, because it's a loop.
Exactly.
Goes around and comes back.
I love the loop trails. You get different scenery all along the way.
Very awesome. Okay, since we're talking about hiking and we talked about summer and it's been hot, let's also mention a couple things that people should be aware of since they're visiting. Yeah. One would be stay hydrated, right?
Yes, for sure. Like anytime I'm doing a hike that's 4 miles or more, I'm mindful of the time that I start the hike. Make sure that I have eaten before, I've eaten at my regular times, and I'm like downing like a huge 24 ounces of water when normally it'd be my cup of coffee. Like I go for that first. So yeah, and take plenty of water with you. It's easy to have a backpack. Yeah. Don't just take like a little water bottle. You really should have
Camelback.
Camelback, yeah. Yep. Yeah, something like that.
So keep in mind also, we're at 7,000 feet elevation.
Yes.
So if you're coming from the valley or somewhere that's not that high, there is a thing called altitude sickness, right?
Yes. And so I do have family that visit from Kansas, so it's not the same elevation as Phoenix, but it's still like near sea level. And so one of my family members does get sick every time they come here because they don't hydrate on the way. What I would encourage people to do is if you do plan like a big hike, you're used to hiking in the valley and that's awesome. We want you to enjoy the White Mountains and our awesome trails that we have. Maybe don't jump right into that big hike or that afternoon hike when it's like the hottest part of the day. Don't jump into that as soon as you get here or the next day. Even you might pick some of these smaller trails to enjoy in the morning or evening and hydrate all day. And then I encourage you, to jump into those longer hikes.
And keep in mind, hydration has to do with your blood cells being able to take oxygen to where it's needed in your body. Mm-hmm. And that's why the more hydrated, you might not be thirsty, but hydrating is important to make sure that your system's keeping up with, because it's not getting as much oxygen as you're used to at a higher altitude.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, because there's nothing worse than you're on vacation and you get a headache, you don't feel like eating anything, or you're throwing up. So avoid that by staying hydrated and sipping water all along your hikes.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Yeah. We appreciate that. That's Carrie.
Thank you for having me.
AZ Hiking Mom. Make sure you're following us. Follow her on Instagram. All the links are below, and we'll talk to you soon.